Hey everybody, this is Stephanie and you're watching Stephanie Over 60 Makeup and Opinion Unfiltered. I got a whole big bag full of foundation. A lot of foundation. Some of it's drugstore, some of it is high-end. I like all of them. I have not been able to part with them. So I'm gonna start a series where I'm gonna start going through this bag and reusing them and seeing if they're worth keeping. A lot of these I've had for a couple years, so some of them are maybe oxidized, maybe not, I don't know. But there's just a lot of really nice makeup in this bag. Today I'm gonna choose one. So which one will it be today? I chose the Revlon Illuminance Skin Caring Foundation with 5% squalene and hyaluronic acid. And this is in the shade 201. I believe it's called Creamy Natural. When I first bought this, I thought it was lovely. I still think it's lovely. But obviously I have so many foundations that I forget about. So today I'm gonna revisit this and see if it's oxidized, see if I still love it just as much. I think I probably will. This is a very good foundation. I am gonna use primer today because I like the way this particular primer preps my face. Just gives me a little extra something, something. I don't know if this e.l.f. liquid poreless primer, putty primer actually causes my makeup to stay on longer. I have no idea because I'm not one of these testing people. I do like the way this makes my skin look before I put on my foundation, so I'm gonna do that today, which is, I just use a little bit. Another thing too is, I'm just pressing it in. Another thing too is a lot of times, if I'm being honest, a lot of times when I'm just making videos, sometimes it's the only time of the day where I make time to like actually make myself up and look halfway nice. Because otherwise, if I'm not doing anything or going anywhere, I can get undisciplined and just be in sweats all day, which is a little depressing. So these videos, this is why I started making videos in the first place, was because I just didn't have a lot going on, and I was in Florida and it was hot and I couldn't really go anywhere. So that's how I started my channel in the first place. And it just became very enjoyable. And then I started to have all kinds of instability. I was all over the place. And then I got breast cancer, so that put me down for a little bit, but I'm back and I am trying to get out there and meet up with my friends again. Although I'll admit, this is just something I do mostly for myself, hoping that I can engage with you all. And another thing too is, oh, before I go any further, this e.l.f. Stay Cool Primer Stick. Have I ever showed you guys that I have this? I don't remember if I told you that or not, but I like it. It was $8. I've had it for maybe a little over a month, but I like it. It feels, I don't really know that it does anything to prep my under eyes. I'm not sure. I just know that I like the way it feels. It's just a little more of a pampering thing, so just put a little bit on there. It's very cooling, definitely. I just sort of press it in and just let it do its thing for a minute. So I'm letting my primers set for a second. I've found that the best way to apply makeup is, once you've applied your skincare, let it rest for a little bit. Once you've applied your primers, let them rest for a little bit. And then figuring out, what am I gonna do today? What makeup am I gonna wear? What color story? What theme? What am I gonna go dramatic today? Am I gonna go, just au naturel? In my real life, everyday life, if I'm gonna go somewhere, I don't usually go super dramatic. I like to make videos with smoky eyes because it's super fun. That's one of the reasons why I do that. Speaking of primers, the e.l.f. Lock It Down Eyeshadow Primer. This is a really nice primer. I can't remember how much I paid for it, But I gotta tell you, I am very impressed at how when I apply my eyeshadow, it definitely decreases the fallout. And sometimes it's a little bit maybe too lock it down because it makes it harder to spread some of my eyeshadows. So I have to spend a little bit more time applying, but I'd rather have this than have a bunch of fallout, which nobody likes that. I'm gonna let that sit there for a second. This is gonna be a pretty chatty, get ready with me video, just so I just feel like talking. I will say that I am quite the makeup junkie. I really do like makeup, but I have so much of it right now and I'm not using it. I used to be a one foundation, one powder. I'm trying to make this thing not make noise because sometimes the table shakes and then it makes these clicky noises and it's irritating. I was a one foundation, one powder, one blush, like one or two lip glosses, like maybe one eyeshadow palette, but not like a huge palette. It was just basically the same thing every single day. And my life was easy. When you have too many choices, sometimes it just makes things complicated. And since I've started doing videos, I have so much makeup and I don't get PR. I'm not a PR gal, not yet. Maybe I will be someday, but I don't get PR. So everything that I have, I buy or someone gives to me. Frankly, a lot of the stuff that I have, someone has bought for me. I've had it given to me, or I got it on a massive sale or something like that. But I have a lot of makeup that I'll never hit pan. I'll never see the bottom of the bottle. And it's kind of sad. It feels like it's such a waste. I wish I could go through it and somehow, I don't want to throw it away. I've heard of people giving their makeup to like women's shelters and things like this, but I don't know if that's sanitary. I don't know, but I got a lot of makeup that if I were gonna go through and just keep a few things, I'd give the rest away. I don't want to throw it away. One thing that I never did do with this foundation, because I just started doing something new with my base, is warming up the base with a cream bronzer. I learned that from Kate Talbert. She's a makeup artist. I'm sure you can find her on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. She does these really quick little tutorials and she's excellent. I've gotten a lot of good ideas, but she suggests warming your base with bronzer, which I would have never thought to do that, but I've been doing it and I think I like it. She suggests using an angled brush that's dense at the bottom and then loose at the top. This is the only angled brush that I have, but it's not quite fluffy enough, but I'm gonna use this one today anyway, and if I just put on too much, then I can always redo it. So I'm just going to put a little on my brush there. But I didn't mention it before. This is the NARS Laguna 02 Cream Bronzer. And so her point being, using a brush that has a fluffier end, I can see why, because it's easier to spread around and not get too much concentration in one spot. So I guess I'm just gonna have to find a fluffy brush that's angled. That should not be too much of a problem. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly get my eyebrows prepped a little bit before I move on to the next step. I'm debating whether I wanna put concealer. I've got some pretty nasty allergic dark circles going on right now. So I'm debating whether I wanna put concealer on first or wait. And I'm using e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. This is in the shade Taupe. It's a really nice brow pencil for like $3 or $4, something like that. I just go in and fill in the sparse areas that are a little bit bald. I have more trouble with my eyebrows being a little wiry and sort of out of control. You know, I have some, obviously, so if you're thinking about it, my eyebrow should end right there, but it doesn't because I overwaxed them back about 10 years ago and they never grew back. So now I just live with it. Today's a really informal video. I just feel like talking, if that's okay. I'm gonna put this e.l.f. brow lift wax over the top of it, try to hold them in place a little bit. I'm gonna start by putting a little bit on my finger, and hopefully throughout the video my eyebrows will not move. I've actually seen that. I'll go back and watch a video that I've already published and I'll find wiry eyebrows. I go, that's attractive. I have this, this is the Essence Soft and Precise. It's a lip pencil and it's in the shade Legendary, and it's so muted, but it's muted, but yet it gives me a little bit of something. And it was only like $3 or $4, very inexpensive. But sometimes just adding a little bit of a lip pencil before you put on lipstick just gives you a little something to get you by until you get to that part, before you get to the finishing touches. And I'm not home alone today, you guys, so there might be some noise. There will be noise. So like I said, today's just gonna be an easy, sort of a natural look using just some nice pinks and browns just to freshen up my face a little bit. All right, so I've decided what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start off by applying the foundation on the back of my hand. This is a really good color match. It's kind of runny, not too thick, not too thin. I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. I really like this brush. And I like to distribute the foundation really well onto the brush so that it's an even application. I've been learning to pressing foundation into my skin versus swiping it. I'm gonna start up here where my eyes are dark circle-y. So as soon as I was saying, sometimes I'll put makeup on just to do a video and then I'll end up taking it off because then I'll go do aerobics or something. Sometimes I'll go somewhere, but this is usually, these videos are sort of like just something creative and something fun for me to do, and hope that whoever's watching enjoys them as well. So when I first started making videos, I did it obviously just for fun. I never thought I would get enough of a subscription base to actually like monetize, but I did in like a month. It was very quickly. And then things sort of fell off. I got a call coming in. Then things sort of fell off a little bit because I was moving around and just things happened. But I also have to wonder, I'm gonna bare my soul a little bit. You know, I have a sense of humor that's a little bit, maybe not up to everybody's taste, but when I watch the YouTube videos, I find that the YouTube videos that do really well are frankly people that are just being themselves. And so because I try not to be rude and I want to be polite, I don't want to offend people unnecessarily, though I will say what I think about things that actually are consequential, things that matter. You know, I'm not usually looking to offend people. So initially my channel was called Makeup for Old Ladies. I thought it was funny. I was basically just going through this, oh my gosh, you're getting old. I had just barely turned 58. Now I'm 61. And Of course, I got pushback on that, but I also got a lot of people that thought it was funny. And then I sort of came to I went through sort of a transitional where I changed it a couple times, and now I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't. I wish I would have just been true to myself and just kept it called Makeup for Old Ladies. Why would I compare my channel or compare myself or change who I am or that my own creative stuff, even if it doesn't please the masses? Why would I do that? I wish I would have just left it there. I really do. I regret that. Okay, so there is, how are we doing for coverage? So let me see if I can get some more of that onto the brush. It really does look nice. It's nice and luminous. It covers pretty well. I am seeing that it's covering like maybe discoloration around my nose and things like that. But these dark circles, you know, are pretty much out of the league of most foundations. So obviously I'm going to have to touch them up. So I'm gonna pull out my Stila Correct and Perfect palette. If you've ever watched my videos, you know I love this palette. It just has so much good stuff in it. It's got peach concealer, it's got pink concealer, it's got green to cancel redness, it's got yellow concealer, and then this darker orangey red, depending on how dark the circles are. Typically, I don't have to go for that deep of a concealer. So today, I'm just gonna go for the peach. Sometimes I put it directly under my eyes. Just depends. I've been changing up my technique a little bit just to see which one works the best, but I put a little bit under my eyes, or sometimes I'll take a soft fluffy brush like this concealer brush here from BS Mall, and then I'll just pick up some product and just kind of gently go over the top of it just to do some cancellation. I'm just trying to cancel the dark circles. I'm not trying to cover them at this point. I'm just color correcting in order to get rid of, I'm gonna take the brush and dip it directly in this thing. I think I'm gonna have to do that. I'm trying to cancel the discoloration by using a peach. Peach and orange will cancel out the blue under your eyes. Right here, I've got red from my glasses. May have gotten a little bit too much there. That did a pretty good job canceling the dark circles. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with a little bit more of my foundation, just a little bit more, back of my hand. I'm gonna use this concealer. This is actually an eyeshadow brush from BS Mall, but I like to use it as a concealer brush because it's kind of firm, yet not too tough. The trick is gonna be, once I start putting my eyeshadow on, is keeping the fallout from disturbing my under eye, because then I'll have to do it over and that's irritating. On an everyday basis, I'm not typically this picky. I'm not usually this particular about it, because I don't take that much time. If I'm going somewhere, I just try to get moving because it just takes too much time. I touch it up with my eyes. I'm gonna try not to touch it too much. Otherwise, those dark circles will come peeking back out again. It's an art and a science. I'm gonna use this same brush that I started out with here, this BS Mall tapered brush. I'm gonna go in with some of this yellow concealer and try to cover up the redness on the side of my nose. This is also very tricky because that redness, you know, we call it tattoos from wearing glasses. I'm wearing contact lenses right now, but as soon as I finish these videos, I put my glasses back on because they're more comfortable. But keeping that redness from coming back is a delicate procedure. In fact, I think I'm gonna put a little bit more concealer on my nose area, which is always a challenge. I notice other people's noses a lot because, you know, mine's kind of pronounced. But lately, I've been noticing that there are women I've noticed that are very exotic looking that have very pronounced noses. And I wouldn't think that their noses are big, but I bet you they get some nasty comments. I brought it up a couple times lately. I don't know why. It's, you know, my whole life I've sort of struggled with the nose thing, but sometimes I've heard people say things about my nose before, many times over my lifetime. I've had people make comments about my nose over my lifetime, over and over and over again, and I honestly don't typically dwell on it. But I've had just recently. I don't know if I'm just feeling particularly vulnerable or something, but it's like, you know, don't say that. Don't say that to people. It's just not very nice. I mean, if I see somebody on their channel, people are just on here just trying to have fun and look nice and interact and do what they do. You know, it's just like, it's just not nice to speak to people like that. But unfortunately, not everybody's very nice, are they? Okay, I am going to do a little bit of contour here, and I'm going to speed it up. This is kind of just a generic puff I picked up at Walmart. And I am going to take some of this beautiful finely milled lavender powder, just a little bit, and I can press it around the contour, what I just did, and a little bit under my eyes, and it'll set it really nicely. Fix it. Ready for eyes. This is my favorite thing to do. I'm going to use my Sydney Grace Unveiled again today. This has been kind of my go-to for the last couple times. I really like this palette. I haven't used it that much. I've been thinking about what I was going to do today. It just has these beautiful colors. It's a bridal palette. The colors are beautiful. Some of them are very subtle. Some of them are a little bit more dramatic. So, for example, this is called It's Your Day, and this is a shimmer. And oh my gosh, I can't imagine what I would use that for. I'm not that creative. For above my crease, I'm going to start out with this shade Forever and Always. And I'm going to apply it with this BS Small eyeshadow brush. It's just thick enough and just fluffy enough for that area of my eye. I'm going to start this above my crease. This is going to be a brownie pink theme today. This goes on really nicely with this brush, but the pigment on this palette, it's nice. I'm going to attempt to use shimmer. Attempt being the key word, because the shimmers on here they're very chunky and they fall like crazy, and it's really too bad because they're very, very pretty. That's the only complaint I have with this palette, is the fallout is insane. The matte shades are absolutely not like that. So I'm just above my movable eyelid. I never used to say movable eyelid. I never used to say that till I started doing YouTube. I'm above the movable eyelid. My video was just interrupted because I ran out of memory and I don't remember what I was saying, except I think I was talking about trying to raise my eye to make it a little bit more open up here with this shade. On my brow bone above my movable lid. One thing I need to get better at is how far in should I bring these darker shades, because my eyebrows are so cut off there that sometimes it just kind of looks strange. So, but then I just blend them out and try to fix it. I am not a makeup artist, you guys. I just do this. No, I'm not a makeup artist. I just like to sort of just have fun and play with makeup. All right, so far no fallout, so that's awesome. The next shade I'm going in with, like I said, I'm gonna go in with a pink. So my base shade on my lid is gonna be Happy Wedding Day. And I am going to use this Urban Decay dual end brush. It's got a nice fluffy brush on one side and then a more dense on the other. I like to use this for smoky eyes because it applies really quickly. So I'm just gonna pick up some of that. I hope it doesn't fall out under my eyes. If it does, I'll just fix it. But I'm hoping it does not. I love pink and brown. I think pink and brown is just a really beautiful combination. And I like to have I like my lids to be lit. For some reason, I feel like it gives it more of a youthful sort of look. So I'm really liking that so far. That's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna take a fluffy brush. I don't know what brush this is. I've had it for years. I think I came in an Ipsy kit years ago, but it's got a fluffy end. And I'm just gonna sort of blend those together a little bit. Still not falling out, so that's good. I think I'm gonna have to add a little bit more over here. Our eyes are not exactly the same shape or the same size, so sometimes it's a challenge to get them to match. So for right under my eyebrows, I am gonna go in with this very neutral Kenai, K-E-N-A-I, Kisses. If that's how it's pronounced, I'm not sure. I'm gonna choose this eyeshadow brush from BS Mall. Don't want it to be too light. Go back in. And I'm just gonna sort of blend it a little bit so it's not too stark. I like that. That's very, very pretty. I think that's a good combination. I think I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll even it out a little bit, and then I find I overly do it, and then I end up having to replace it, but that's okay. So I would love to put some shimmer on my lid. And this is called Hi Bright, and it's so stinking pretty. It is so pretty, but oh my gosh, does it make a mess. So I'm going to rub my fingers together like this and just try to get those chunks out of there. You can see them falling out like snow. And I'm gonna risk it just by maybe tapping a little bit. Oh my gosh, that's not gonna work. If I had some setting spray, I would be able to manage this a little bit better, but I do not. So let me think. I'm just gonna take another, this is a Pharmacy Professional Collection brush. I'm just gonna tap a little bit on this brush. I really wanna use this, but I don't want the mess. Because when you see how pretty it is, but it is just a chunky disaster. Yeah, I'm getting kind of afraid. This is a shading brush from Real Techniques. Maybe this will work. I think I have PTSD from the last time I used this, but it's so dang pretty. I'm determined. I'm just careful enough. Another thing too is that it might be okay at first and then fall like crazy, which is always a thing. You know, I'm not willing to, I'm being overly cautious because I just don't want the mess, but I do want the prettiness of it. Okay, there we go. Taking a little more risk here. Well, I don't know if that's even, I feel like I just wasted 5 minutes just trying to use that and it just isn't gonna work. So all I ended up doing was managing to get sparkle up in my crease, which I hate. So now I gotta fix that. So you guys are on an adventure with me today with this palette. It is a very pretty palette, but that shimmer shade is just too much. I'll blend this out a little bit. You guys, I'm sorry. This is taking me a long time, isn't it? Probably wouldn't be so much if I wasn't trying so hard to use that shimmer. Okay, well that made a huge mess, and so I had to go back in and clean it all up. So here we are. Now I can go in with some eyeliner. What eyeliner am I gonna use this time? I'm gonna go in here with, this is called Bombshell Bride. I think this is a good choice today for eyeshadow or eyeliner. I'm going to use my Zoeva 322. This is the brow liner. It is very thin and precise, and I like it a lot to apply eyeshadow or eyeliner. Oh my gosh. So I don't really like talking about super sad things, but you know, I'm a real animal lover. I'm one of these people that everybody wants me to babysit their dogs and cats because I love animals so much. I don't care what they are. And yeah, this is messy, but I'm gonna fix it, I promise. I really, really love animals, and one of my friends has a 16-year-old doggy that had to make the trip over the Rainbow Bridge within the last hour while I've been making this video, and I've really had her on my mind. I hate that. I just hate that. It's just one of the saddest things in life is to have to say goodbye to your beloved pets. You know, pets are just they're just such a gift from God, you know, that they're just a gift. You know, they're just our friends, and they depend on us for everything, and they love us all the time. And it leaves such a huge, it just leaves such a huge hole in our hearts when we have to say goodbye. So Tracy, if you're watching this, just know, you know I'm thinking of you. And I'm sorry you're having to go through this pain right now. It's hurting me too. You guys, this is my vulnerable video. This is my vulnerable video because this is like a disaster. I mean, I can fix it, but it's just messy. I'm gonna go in here with some more of this Happy Wedding Day pink and just try to cover that a little bit. And then I'll use a little bit of concealer to clean up the edges. And then I will go on to the mascara. Oh, you guys, oh my gosh, what happened? I'm gonna use this e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. And I really like it for things like this, because I could just take it up into the corner. And it cleans it up and lifts the eye, almost like it never happened. I'll just take this is an e.l.f. Duo sponge. I'll just tap that in there. I'm kind of tired of trying to fix this. I still think that the eye looks good. It's just a little messy. I'm gonna go in with my Thrive Liquid Lash Extension, and I learned a little trick. I have this neat little brush. This is a bent lash fan number 730 from Delium Tools. And so I just take a little bit of mascara off the wand, and then I can actually use mascara on my bottom lashes without making a big mess. Well, in theory, that's what's supposed to happen, but right now, who knows? I like to have, and then I just use the rest of it kind of like the bottom of the lash line. Gives it a little bit of lift before I even get the mascara on. This is a neat tool. It was $14 on Amazon. But it just works well with your mascara, works well with your lashes. So I'm gonna pull out my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores translucent setting powder, which fixes everything, much like bronzer does. I'm just gonna put a little bit up there. I should have done that. I should have done this first, but it was just looking really crepey and messy. Anyway, this is a handy little tool and I highly recommend it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and whip the mascara on quickly. I'm gonna stop my commentary and just get this on really quickly and not bore you with it. You'll be glad I just spared you that. This caked and gave me spider eyes like crazy, and I just had to mess with it and mess with it and mess with it to keep it from being so sticky. But anyway, we're gonna move on now. All right, so now I just have blush and I'm gonna put a little bronzer because bronzer makes everything awesome. I'm gonna go to my tried and true IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores bronzer. This is in the shade Beach, and I'm just gonna use a fluffy round brush just to go around my face and give it a little bit of warmth. So many things just kind of went sideways during this that I don't feel very happy about it, but bronzer makes me happy, so there you go. Okay, let's get some blush. Going with the whole bridal pink look, I am going to take this e.l.f. Camo blush in the shade, I believe this is Dusty Rose. Put it on the back of my hand here. And mix it with my e.l.f. Halo Glow. This is always a hit, although today I don't know what's gonna happen. This is in the shade Light Medium, and I'm gonna mix it with my hand. Okay, I think that's gonna be perfect. So I just mix it with my hand, and I am going to take this. This is a BS Small flat face brush. It's angled. Just put a little bit on there, and I'm just gonna tap it in. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That went well. So there's some glow to it from the e.l.f. Halo Glow, but that camo, that liquid camo blush also has a bit of glow to it itself. Put a little bit up here. Just kind of, maybe a little across my nose. It's just a really pretty color. I think that worked out well. In spite of everything, happy with that, but I'm just gonna sort of just blend it out a little bit with a clean face brush from BS Small. Just a flat brush. It's a very subtle, pretty look. And I'm gonna cap it off. This is my Buxom full-on plumping lip color in the shade White Russian. I cheated a little bit and put it on my lips earlier because my lips are feeling so dry, so. All right, if you have hung out with me this long, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed my content and you have not yet subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you would give that a consideration, or maybe a thumbs up if you feel so inclined. So thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you next time.